Welcome back, guys. For today, we're going to be doing the first shots through this Walther P22. I'm here about 20 yards away from some steel, and we're going to see how it does. And we're going to be started off with 10 rounds of Aguila Super Extra. So regular mag in like normal. Let's charge it. Got one in the chamber. That's good. And this is a double single action pistol, although because of the way I discharged it, I'm going to start running single action first. Safety is here on the slide. Up is fire. Let's do it. And slide locked open on the last shot. Magazines for the P22 are actually quite easy to load, utilizing the same style of button on the side that's commonly seen on like the Ruger Mark IVs, Mark IIIs, 2s. I think those even get back as far as to the Mark 1s. But it makes it really easy to pull the follower down and to just drop those rounds right on top. In all honesty, I do actually kind of prefer these magazines to the Ruger Mark IV mags because the angle on these is somewhat less steep. Let's grab another magazine here. One thing I did notice on this one is that if you just push down on the mag release, they don't drop free. It's a lot easier because of the way the ledge is set up. If you push in slightly, then they come right out. Open up our second magazine. I'm going to run some of these double action. Oop. First failure, we had a failure for the slide to pick that one up there. There we go. Just didn't have enough momentum. And I'm going to take a couple here double action. And to decock this down to double action mode, you flip the safety down and then gently ease the hammer down. You see I just let off the trigger and the hammer goes down to its rested position. There is no decocker on this. All right, so I got I'm assuming light strike on that one. Let's try that again. Went off on the second hit, typical 22. Not bad at all. And you can see, obviously locked back on the last round. We drop our mag out. This one does have we are clearing the chamber. Magazine disconnect, for those of you guys that are interested there. I personally don't prefer it, but throw an empty mag in, drop the hammer down, throw it on safe. It's not a big deal. All right, let's load up some more. Alrighty, guys, move back a little bit. I think we're between 25, 30 yards here, roughly, to that steel you see out there. I've got the Walther P22Q right here, and we're going to give it a couple shots. I'm going to try to reach around the camera here so you guys can actually see the operation. These magazines do have the little thumb release to make them easier to load. Straight in, and when they're fully loaded, you do have to hit a little bit. What I was saying earlier about that magazine release is if you try to push down on it, I like to use, especially with my HKs, my index finger here. But that's really tight. However, if you push in very slightly on the base plate, take the pressure off of it, they come right out. So, just a training thing to note. Obviously, safety is down for safe, up for fire. Gotta charge it. Okay, let's go from there. And I'm going to start off, run a couple single action, and then I'll show you how to run a couple in double. The point of aim, point of impact. Here, I'm going to be looking over my sights. You guys will not see how my sights are lined up. And a little round on the left. And if you want to run it double action, if you're pointed down range safely, let's see here so you can watch my trigger finger. I'm holding the hammer. I just tap the trigger enough to let the hammer drop, like so, and then I let go of the trigger. That ensures the firing pin block is still there and you can drop it. You can also put it on safety and do the same thing. Now for double action. Let's run a couple more in double. Double action isn't bad in the least. Very comparable to my my HKs, although the trigger reach from here to the actual back of the grip is a little bit shorter. And of course, missed on the last shot. All right, let's try another magazine. Zoom over here so you guys can see the steel. And charged. You can see one in the chamber. And we'll flip our safety onto fire. Focus back on the steel. Yeah, for the fun of it, I'm gonna try to go for the head on that silhouette there on the right. Pull that to the side. All right, misfire on that one. I'm just gonna do a double action shot to the body. Went off that time. Perks of a double single action gun with a hammer. You can always restrike. There we go. Tad low and a little bit on the left, but not bad. There we go. So I'm hitting those headshots, and we are back here at between 25 and 30 yards with a, let me zoom out a touch, rather small 22 pistol. I have not adjusted the sights. This is exactly how they came from the factory. The advantage of the P22 is it is a fixed barrel pistol, so take that for what it's worth. I've got 4 shots left. Let's see. Zoom out so you can see me shooting it here on the edge. I'll try to get it in frame. And I'm going to try to do a little bit of rapid fire. All right, you guys won't be able to see the targets. I'm going to have to swivel over so that we get this in frame. Here we go. Yeah, swivel a little more. There we go. And rapid fire, I'm going to start double to single like I would with my P30SK that I everyday carry. And we'll see how these last 4 do. Well, I think you guys got a little bit out of frame, but not bad in the least. Safety on, of course. And then if you want to drop the hammer here, you cannot without that magazine in. I really don't like a magazine you disconnect, but it's not the end of the world. So far, aside from a couple light strikes with the Aguila, it's been functioning just fine. So one of the reasons I actually picked up the P22 was to actually work as a training aid, especially this time of year when I really don't feel like picking my grass out of several inches of snow, and because it's very comparable in size to my HK P30SK that I everyday carry. A lot of similarities between the two. First of all, obviously it's a paddle magazine release. Anybody who knows me, I can run a button just fine. I'm not like stuck to one or the other, but I do prefer a paddle for the various ways that I can activate it. It's fully ambi. I can run it with my trigger finger, I can run it with my middle finger, I can run it with my thumb, and so on. So there's that. It's a double single action, so I get the same benefit of working my double to single action transition drills that I would with my everyday carry as well. Like I said, it's relatively comparable in size. The magazines hold 10 rounds, which is what the flush fit models for the P30SK do, so that adds an extra layer of training crossover and stuff there as well. Aside from that, I think I picked this one up for like $280 something through Bud's Gun Shop. Had it transferred to my local FFL, picked it up the other night, and so far it's doing good. Like I said, when I first got it, I cleaned everything down, ran a CLP down the barrel and stuff, and took a microfiber towel, wiped everything out of all the rails, the hammer. I mean, it's shipped with your standard factory grease. I mean, it is made in Germany and shipped here to the States. So all that needed cleaned out. Went back over everything, and I like to use Lucas Extreme Duty gun oil. It stays in place. It's a little bit thicker. You do have to be somewhat careful with it if you're shooting like sub-zero temperatures and stuff, because it can get thick and gum stuff up if you're like running lower powered ammo and stuff. But so far, this has been running just fine. And yeah, quite enjoy it. It's been reliable so far. Like I said, I had 2 light strikes, I think, on the Aguila ammo, and 1 failure to go into battery. but that being fresh magazines, fresh springs, and it was the first round, and everything after that, like you've seen, has cycled perfectly fine. So I've got one last 10-round magazine here loaded up, and I'm just going to work some double to single action transition drills like it would be if I was shooting my regular HK on the range. And the added benefit of shooting 22, it's cheap. The blowback, the recoil is actually kind of decent. Like, it's still light because it's 22, but it's not just, it just sits there. You do get a little bit of a snap considering it's so small, which is, again, a nice crossover because you still have to drop your sights back down to your target and track them and stuff. So I'll stop rambling. Let's get some shooting. Load up here. We are chambered. That's good. And one other thing that I didn't touch on, and I'll zoom in the camera here so you guys can see a little bit better. When you go to decoct this, the safe way to do it is to put it on safe if you're not pointed down range. If you're pointed down range, it doesn't really matter. But if you're not pointed down range, put it on safe. That your safety is actually a firing pin block. So as you can see here, if I were to come up on the target, safety is on. If I were to come up on the target and pull the trigger, the hammer dropped, but it hit the safety, which is your firing pin. Well, it's not a firing pin block. It's a. I'll edit the precise definition of it in here. So we're now in double action. Granted, if you're going to put this on double action normally, say it was cocked like this, I'd still recommend kind of put your thumb there on the back, pull the trigger, let go of the trigger, and let the hammer down. When you let off the trigger, it reactivates your firing pin block, so it's another layer of safety. Anyway. Gonna run some double single action drills. I'm gonna take the safety off on this one. The one difference between this and my HK is my HK is a frame mounted safety. This is slide mounted. I can put it on with my thumb, but trying to take it off with my thumb without breaking your grip is kind of awkward, so I'll just leave it off for functional purposes. Double single action drills. You guys should be able to see me just fine here. I'm gonna start just kind of like a low ready, and then come up and give me 2 shots. Bad. Drop her into double action mode again. Come back up. Bad. And then do double action on the silhouette, single action on the small round plate. Not bad. At this point, I have 4 rounds left, so I can run this drill 2 more times. And 2 shots left. Not bad, and she kicked open on the last shot. Safety. And drop our magazine. So that is the first shots on the Walther P22. If you guys want to see any more information on this, hopefully I'm not too close to the camera. If you guys want to see any more information on this, let me know. I know there's a bunch of videos and stuff out there on it, but I haven't done one. If you guys haven't really seen this or have questions you want to see addressed in a video, by all means let me know. It's doing good so far. I need to go grab some more ammo. I think we're going to keep doing this for a little bit. Quick interjection from the future here. So I noticed a couple things when cleaning the pistol later that may have led to the light strikes that you guys saw in the video. The first being that I may not have done as thorough of a job in cleaning out especially the chamber and the extractor area of the factory grease as I had thought, and that causing the casings basically to not seat all the way into the chamber. So when that first strike with a firing pin, it basically shoved the cartridge all the way up against the chamber face where it was supposed to be, and then of course the second strike would set it off. A couple other things to note when you're cleaning this: pay close attention to clean here underneath your extractor claw, as well as in the firing pin channel. I noticed there was a little bit of gunk in there as well after the first firing session. I got in there with a microfiber towel, cleaned out some of the end of that, and then put some brake feel CLP down in there, and it seemed to loosen things up quite nicely. Also worth noting here that the P22s use some form of an alloy frame with a steel inset in the bottom for any of the high wear areas as well as the breech face. This allows it to cycle properly under recoil from the 22LR cartridge, but may require some break-in on those rails if they are not perfectly smoothed out. Also worth noting that the current generations of P22s come with a captive recoil spring. This is much easier when you're doing the reassembly procedure from cleaning it, and so on. Now, the second possible cause for those light strikes and the occasional sluggish slide could have been due to the oil we were using. Now for most applications, I prefer this Lucas Extreme Duty gun oil. You can see here I just recently took this out of the garage where it's being kept at basically the same temperature as outside, and it is somewhat thick. In contrast, some standard break-free CLP here is much thinner and less susceptible to colder temperatures. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the Lucas, and that oil stays where you put it and does not cook off even through hundreds of rounds and dozens of mag dumps end to end. Really, this is a great oil. I was actually introduced to it by an older gentleman at a range I used to go to when I was using primarily grease on slides to reduce the wear. He said, check out the Lucas. I did, and it's a lot easier to clean up than grease, and I've been using it ever since. While CLP does not provide the same level of protection, in my opinion, that the Lucas does, it does remain thinner at colder temperatures and has definitely helped to keep the P22 slide moving freely. Now for your viewing enjoyment, I was able to film some first-person shots with the P22, both in regular and slow-mo. As you guys can see here, even 22 can do a pretty good number on steel, and also that is 22 spalling. If you guys enjoyed this first shots video on the Walther P22, be sure to hit that like button, and if you have any questions or thoughts or comments, make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. As always, stay safe, keep on reloading, and I'll catch you in the next one.